Hi folks, welcome to Lumberjack. I'm inside the She-Oak at the moment and I'm going to run through how the multimedia system works. It's the same system in all the trailers, it's just in a different location. So we'll run through what you need to do to function it and also a little bit of troubleshooting at the end. You can run DVD, audio through USB, DVD players, CDs, radio, so it does a fair bit of stuff, and also you can connect your computer or a gaming system to the monitor. So let's just do one step at a time and have a look what you first get in the trailer. There's a packet here which has got a black remote in it and a user guide and then a white remote. The black remote works the LED screen. And then the white remote works the multimedia player. So let's start with the multimedia player. To turn on the multimedia player, you need to have the audio button on the trailer. And then we turn on the power of the multimedia player. Inside the cupboard here, in this particular case, there's a wiring with the camper trailers there under one of the wheel hubs where the multimedia player is. In this case, we have a 12-volt port because that's running the LED screen. So there's a 12-volt port in here. Then the wiring for the multimedia player back to the LED screen, which is the AV. We're using AV in the screen. And then we also have an aerial. This is quite long, so you can run that out through the window outside. That's for the radio, and that's already wired in, and that's got a little magnet on it. So that's the same with the camper trailers as well. So we really don't need to go in there at all unless you want to get out the aerial to play the radio. So we'll close that up. So let's first look at the DVD. So to play the DVD, firstly we need to turn on the LED screen. And because the guys have wired it already, it'll say AV. You need to have it on AV to play a DVD. And then we get the white remote and we make sure that our multimedia player is on, and we change the source. So let's try a couple of things. I'll change the source to AV in, and we'll put in a DVD. And that's saying disc on there, automatically playing here. And then we use the black remote to choose which track we want or what part or function. Now, because we're running the DVD through AV, which is through the multimedia player, the speakers in the trailer is where the audio comes out of. So we'll just turn that up. And then we can jump through. And now we're playing the DVD. So that's all pretty standard, and we've got our track on the multimedia player. All right, so let's take out that. And now let's put inside the multimedia player a music disc. We've got a Kylie Minogue here, Impossible Princess. I'm sure everybody carries that. Let's see if I just put in the CD. Let's just see if it automatically jumps to the disc, and it does. So you don't need to change the source, and that's loading at the moment. And it's showing the track on here, but it's also showing the track on the multimedia player, so you don't need to have the screen on to play music. And if we want to change a song, we can jump the track here on the actual multimedia player. So that's pretty simple. That just does what it needs to do. Let's take out that DVD. Okay. Right, so let's look at another way you can play music is if you have all your music on a USB stick. There's a little USB outlet there on the side. Let's put that in there and see what happens. It's saying USB and it's loading. The same thing again, I think we can pick a song either through the screen or we can pick the song we want on the multimedia player. 2. And now that's playing song there. So that's quite handy that the list is here as well, so you can jump to different songs. So now we're playing music through the USB, through the multimedia player. All right, so let's take that out. The same thing would work if you had movies on here. You would put that in there, it would read it, you would choose what you wanted to play. Just need to be careful of your format. You need to have it in the correct format. And that's how you would play DVD or music through a USB. The other way we can play DVD is directly into the LED screen. So just be mindful if you do play DVDs through the screen, the audio will come out of the screen, it won't come out of the speakers in the trailer. So to get it to work through the speakers in the trailer, we need to go back and put it into the USB port in the multimedia player. But in the back here, there's a little USB port. I'll put that in there. Now, in this case, because we're using the USB port, we have to change the source or the input to the correct channel, and we're going down to media. And then we're going over to movie. And in this case, this USB port is called Toshiba. So we picked Toshiba. And in this case, we have all the files listed, and we're going to play this Lumberjack file. And that would be a movie if you were to choose a movie, obviously. All your movies would be listed there. You could have music and movies on here if you wanted. And then there's also volume, so you're now using the volume through the screen. The other way you can use this screen is through a HDMI port. Now at the moment we don't have anything plugged into the HDMI, but if you had a gaming machine, you run the gaming machine through the HDMI port. That's another thing you could do. The other thing you can do is connect your phone to the multimedia system, so you can play music, and also the phone will ring through here. So when you're speaking, you can speak on the phone, but you'll hear the audio out of here. But to use it for playing music, you need to connect to the Bluetooth on here. So we change the source button so it says BT phone, and then we go to the settings on our phone to Bluetooth, and we connect to CarKit. So I'm connected already to CarKit. Once we've connected, we can then go to our phone. I'm on Spotify here, and I'm going to play a song and turn the volume up. And now we can play the music through the speakers inside the trailer. One last thing we haven't covered is the radio. Now we're inside a warehouse at the moment, so we don't have great reception. But you would open up your cupboard and grab out your aerial and extend that out. You could run that out through the window and then mount that onto the trailer. There's a little magnet on there. And then you choose on the multimedia player, the source would be radio, and then you would search your channel. So hope that's been helpful for you. If you've got any questions, please give us a call. A couple of things, make sure your audio button's on, a couple of troubleshooting things. Just make sure that your ports inside there's a USB ports and also some connection wiring on the other side of this panel. If things aren't working, just check those. Check that you've got your LED screen on and that you're on the right connection. That's the most important thing, that when we want to watch a movie and we've got it into the multimedia player, we have this on AV. And also just keep an eye on your batteries. With this one, there's a battery already inside it. You pull the little lever out and then you've got a battery in there. These ones have AAA batteries in them, so just make sure you've got batteries in your remote. And it's pretty simple, and I hope this has been helpful. Thanks very much.